Hey guys, and welcome back. So in the previous nugget, I got ahead of myself and we're not exactly going to look at the boot scripts quite just yet. In fact, what we're briefly going to look at is how we can manually change and set the run levels via the command line ourselves. So the command that we're going to be looking at, or should I say the commands, is going to be the init command as well as the tell init command. Now these commands, like I say, are based on sys via net, therefore they are deprecated in modern systems. So these two commands, whilst we can actually issue them on modern systemd based systems, like I say, they are deprecated. We are just exploring them for the purposes of the examination. So the first command here is the init command. We know this is the init process, and tell init is the other option. Now the first thing I will say is that both of these commands will work and both will ultimately do the same thing. However, it is an accepted best practice to use the tell init command. So whilst you can get away with actually typing init, it is not the recommended way to handle this process. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to show you one command which can identify to us the current run level we are using. So what I will do here is I will just full screen this, and the command that we can use to identify the current run level as well as the previous run level the system was using is quite simply the run level command. If I just hit enter, we can see the value n and then the value 5. Now we're seeing the value n because previously the system was shut down, and the value on the right here is the current run level. So we see run level 5. We talked about what run level 5 happens to be. This is a multi-user mode, it has networking, and of course, as we can see here, we have the graphical user interface, so we can click about all the icons, we can drag and drop, so on and so forth. So if I want to modify this particular run level, I've got two options. Like I say, I can say init and then specify a run level such as run level 0, which we know is the value to shut down. But like I say, we want to be using the tell init command. So what I could do here is I could say tell init and I could change it to maybe say run level 3. Now you may recall if we do tell init 3, I'm going to have to type in my password and hit enter. Oh, looks like I typed in the wrong password. Try this again. There we go. Now we're going to reload. We will lose our graphical user interface and we will ultimately drop into multi-user mode without the graphical user interface. Now because of VirtualBox, what we're doing is experiencing a little bit of a problem. If I press Ctrl Alt and F1, we should actually see our login page. So we can see here IPv0 login. I'll type in my username and my password to enter. And notice now, I have my Linux terminal, but I no longer have a graphical user interface. This would be a very common setting for a server, very low on resources, no real demands, and a much smaller attack surface. However, like I say, if we actually run the run level command, we can now see, even though it's pretty small, the current run level on the right is the value 3, and the one on the left was the one that it was before, the value 5. So if we want to restore the system to be the way it was before, we can say tell init 5 if I hit enter. And in this case, we have to use super user privileges. So I'll say tell init 5 with the sudo command. Have to type in the old password. There we go. And try again. Now we're going to reload and we are presented again with our graphical user interface, and we can go back in, log in, go up to the top here. I'll go into my terminal emulator. I will say run level. And now this is inverted once again. The current level is 5. The previous one was 3. Now, like I say, we can also use the init command, even though it is not recommended. If I said init 6, we know this would be the run level for a reboot. So if I just hit enter, now we're going to reboot. The system is beginning to reload. Just give it a little minute or two. And the system has rebooted. Let me just log in, type in my password. There we go. And now we are back. If I click my icon up here, go to my terminal emulator, I say run level, we can see we have the value n again because the system was rebooted, and our current run level again is 5. And again, if we wanted to shut down the system, I could use the command tell init, and what would be the run level to shut down the system or to halt the system, as the terminology goes, we can use run level 0. So if we hit enter, that will shut down the system and it will fully close. So we can use these commands, the init command or the tellinit command, to ultimately perform these tasks by specifying a particular run level, i.e. 0 all the way through to 6. But the recommended way is to use the tell init command. The way I like to remember this is by thinking that you are telling the init process what run level to actually use. And if we want to verify our current run level and the previous run level, we do also have that run level command. Okie doke, so that is us for being able to manually change the run level of our system. Now let's begin to talk about these boot scripts, and that's what we'll be doing in the very next nugget. So I hope this has been informative for you, and I'd like to thank you for viewing.